In this video, we're going to be discussing time. When dealing with history, it's important to be able to understand timelines and how historical events fit together and how we have come to label them. So to do this, we must talk about BC and AD. Now, there are over 16 different calendars in our world today. There's no one universal way of marking time, the beginning of time, or the specific dates of historical events. However, a lot of historians have come to settle on this BC-AD model. And this BC-AD model, also known as the Gregorian Calendar, started in the Middle Ages, as European historians were looking at how to chronicle time and events. So, the European historians marked year 1 at the age of the Roman Empire. Any time before this point that they marked as year 1 was known as BC, or a new concept that we'll introduce called BCE. Any time after this point they marked as year 1 was labeled as AD or CE, and we'll talk about what those mean here in a moment. BC stands for before Christ, and during the Middle Ages, as these historians were wrestling through writing down these different events, these were Christians. So they had marked year 1 about the age of Augustus, right about the time of Christ, and they said anything before this time shall be known as BC or before Christ. Now, modern historians, and more importantly modern scientists, there was a strong atheist community who didn't like the idea of time being associated with a religious figure. So there is a new movement in the past 20 years to refer to this time period as BCE, also known as Before Common Era. BC works as follows. BC counts down to 0. The older the event, the higher the number. This serves as a very nice purpose because we really don't know when the beginning of time is. So you can take BC to the millions, to the billions, to the trillions if you need to. And then the older the event, the bigger the number. And then it counts down like 100,000, down to 5,000 BC, down to 300 BC, until you get to 1 BC. Once you hit that 1 BC, it flips to being known as AD or CE. AD does not mean after death. AD is a Latin term called Anno Domini, which means the year of our Lord. Now, once again, the people who created this were essentially Christian monks and associated their history with Christianity. However, these modern scientists want this to be referred to as the Common Era, or CE. So some historical documents, you will see it written as AD, other times it will be CE. And these numbers count up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 200 or to 1800, up to 2010, 2011, 2012. And every year we add a number. So it looks something similar to this. On the farthest left, the oldest events would be 10,000 BC down to 1000 BC, down to 500 BC, and then you have that BC to AD changeover. When you get down to 1 BC, it then goes to 1 AD, and then it begins to build up from there. 500 AD, 1500 AD, and up to our modern day. So this is a timeline. It's important to understand as we are delving into historical documents. AD is a little easier because that's what we work with every day. Every day we tack on a year. But BC Gotta wrap your head around this topic. The older the date, the higher the number. And just like a clock timer, the closer it moves to modern day, BC counts down to year 1 BC, and then it does the flip.